The Ardennes, hills in the southeast of Belgium, play host to one of the hardest tests in professional cycling. It's the oldest of the big classics, the old lady, La Doyenne, Liège Bastogne Liège, with the young pretenders turning up to try and win. Tadej Pogačar versus Remco Evenepoel for the first time since the World Championships, and the world champion racing in Belgium, his home nation, for the first time this season. 258.1 kilometres with 11 classified climbs, lots of unclassified climbing, a route south towards Bastogne and then back towards Liège, the big city where the race finished after all the famous names. Eddy Merckx's playground at the Stokke, One, Haute-Levée, Roisier, through Spa, and of course up to the mighty Redoute, La Redoute, the famous hill, the iconic hill in Liège. One climb returning this year, the Côte des Forges, back after the floods prevented it being in the race route the year previous. By the time we had live images, there was the news that Tadej Pogačar was out of the race. Having crashed, he was on his way to hospital with Mikel Honoré to check on his injuries. Pogačar would have a fracture to multiple bones in his wrist. Evenepoel's team, Soudal Quick-Step, still controlled as 11 men got up in the break with a maximum advantage of 4.5 minutes. They were soon whittled down. And in the final 90 Ks, a move launched by Jan Tratnik. Valentin Madouas tried to follow, as did Magnus Sheffield, but Tratnik would in the end go alone and get across a gap that started off as just over 1.5 minutes, with Enric Mas suffering from stomach problems. David Gaudu too going backwards. Tratnik was on his way to the front of the race. One by one, teammates were sacrificed in the service of Remco Evenepoel, including Julien Alaphilippe and the rest. And as Tratnik reached the front, only 5 remained. One by one too, they'd be ridden off the Slovenian's wheel. The man from Jumbo-Visma having come down from altitude, showing he was ready for the Giro. His teammates tried to help, but it was Soudal Quick-Step riding like motorbikes, rather than them getting in the way. On to La Redoute, the scene of the Remco Evenepoel attack 12 months previous. Tratnik would eventually be caught by the lone survivor from the break, Simone Velasco, and just before the top, Evenepoel coming off the wheel of Ilan van Wilder and attacking. At the beginning, Tom Pidcock was able to follow. Giulio Ciccone wouldn't be far away. A right turn instead of a left turn onto the false flat this year, and a bit more climbing to come. And it would be on that second section of climbing over the top of La Redoute that, despite Pidcock unable to give a turn, Evenepoel wouldn't worry too much. He'd simply ride the British rider off his wheel. And with 29 kilometres remaining, just like last year, Evenepoel would leave the competition behind. This time he'd be even more dominant. In the rainbow jersey, quickly getting half a minute. And as they looked at each other to chase behind, the gap would balloon to over a minute. The rain falling, the cold everywhere, the damage, in all truth, already done by Evenepoel. Fans began to celebrate his victory that was impending. And the gap would go over to 1.5 minutes on the final climb of the day, Rochefort-Faucon. Into the final couple of kilometres and a chance to celebrate. Slippery descents already negotiated conservatively. And into the final finish straight. 2 appearances in Liège, 2 victories for Remco Evenepoel. The first man to go back-to-back in over a quarter of a century. The first man in 37 years to win in the rainbow jersey. Remco repeating, this time as the world champion. Soudal Quick-Step's spring saviour. Santiago Buitrago with his best ever result in a World Tour one-day race. He took 3rd, and a first monument podium for Tom Pidcock, who'd finish in 2nd place. Deja vu though for Remco Evenepoel and Quick Step. Evenepoel beating Pidcock and company by over a minute. Top 10 looking like this. Evenepoel, Pidcock, Buitrago, Healy and Madouas in the top 5. A second good weekend for Ben Healy, who came close to that podium again. What a podium and what a rider.